Oh, that chick crazy dog. Oh man, that chick crazy dog. Oh, listen, Jerome. I gotta bounce. I forgot I have a call. Alright, catch you later. Bye. Sorry about that. I have a lot of black friends and they call at very odd times. So, anyhow, this is video number 80, kind of a big benchmark for me. I'm going to see if I can even talk intelligibly here. I have a lot of energy in my body and it's hard to be still, so I'm going to have to move. I'm going to have to fidget. So I got a nice fidget toy right here. It's actually a dog toy, which I found at Costco. There it is. I thought it was too cool not to have. I'm probably the only person in the world that would buy these other than for a dog. I just thought they were kind of cool. You know, can play catch with them or whatever. And it was a 3-pack, so there's this guy too. I don't know if these are like characters in anything. It's pretty cool. I'll probably cut off the tags. I don't know for sure if I'm going to keep them. When I brought them home, my wife she's like, "You're such a moron." And I thought for a second, I was like, you know, I really can't defend myself here. That's pretty much true. So, and then there's this one too. This is the one that really sold me. It's like a mandrill face, right? I just thought that's just too cool not to have. I mean, this is really good art. I'm missing my armadillo. It's actually a mouse, but I call him an armadillo. It's the coolest damn stuffed animal. It's a dog toy, but whatever, you know. Art is art, right? So, anyhow, I'm here in my music room. It's October 28th. It's 9 something in the morning, and I'm not used to making the videos in this room. It's less conducive than being in the kitchen. The kitchen is such a good place for conversation. If you ever go to get-togethers, parties, whatever, usually the best conversation seems to happen in the kitchen for whatever reason. So I don't like being in here as much, but I don't like being overheard either, which is why I'm in this room right now. This is where I make my music. I've made 5 albums of material plus a whole lot of other stuff that hasn't yet made it onto albums, but this is where I do it right here. You can see I have a bass right here. It's a 5-string bass. I don't understand why people play 4-string basses, quite frankly, unless you're Sydney, what the hell's his name? Stanley Clarke or Victor Wooten or someone like, or Jaco Pastorius, you know, who probably didn't have access to 5-string basses maybe in his time, I'm not sure. Then I have a Telecaster right here. Came with a white pickguard. I replaced it with a gold because I think it looks much cooler. Anyhow, this is my music room. I got a bunch of other musical accoutrements in a very small area of square footage, and this is where I do my music here. So, anyhow, it's a little bit of different atmosphere, not quite as conducive for talking as I feel the kitchen is. And this is the room in which I attempted to make my, what I call comprehensive video, or I think I called it Salvation 101 series videos, or Ascension 101. I can't remember what I called it. But anyhow, those videos are absent. So this is one of the things I want to talk about here today. I should have talked about what I was going to talk about in the beginning. Sorry, I'll try to put that in the description. Mental note, do that next time. So, I made 30 videos here in this room based on some notes that I had made over a period of maybe a month or something. And they ended up being 40 pages of notes. So what I did is I just magnetized my brain to this idea, okay, what is pertinent to salvation? What do we need to know? And with that idea, over a month, anytime I had another idea come, I just put it in my notes. And so, it ended up being 40 pages of notes, and it took somewhere between 5 and 6 hours, I think, to make all the videos related to it. I tried to do it all in one night, and then I had some tech problems, too boring to talk about, but anyhow. They're missing on my YouTube page because I did not think the flow was good enough. I watched a couple of them, and I was like, no, it's just not doing it. I'm not happy with it. I watched a couple others. I thought, okay, well, pretty good here, but anyhow, they probably need to be done again. But I just wanted to talk about why they're missing, because I just don't think the flow is good enough. I attempted, like, say if I was going to die tomorrow, that would be kind of like what I would leave the world in terms of what I had learned was in those 30 videos. So I attempted to put all of my information into however many hours, all the most important things that I had learned. But what I know is that it's not enough just to leave a book. It's not enough just to make music, make CDs, of which I have a brand new album, which hopefully will be released in the next couple days. Very excited about that. I should have put that on as background music, I forgot. It's not enough just to make things and say, here it is, take it and run with it. Just the way as with whatever our limited version of Christianity is, it's not enough just to look at the Bible and say this is enough. No, it's not enough. We're clearly missing it. We're clearly missing an active presence. It's not enough just to have a material. You need an active presence to convey the message. So no matter how good I do in any video, in any particular video or whatever else I do, writing or music, it's never going to be enough because I have to be an active presence. I have to be here stewarding this, managing this, because as far as I know, nobody else has the same message as me, and there's only one me in the world. And I'm the best one at being me. And I have this fundamental knowledge that I am necessary here. That's not one of those things that you admit that you're 100% important for the world making it through this crucible. 100% necessary to liberate the world, such that the world can finally ascend back into heaven. Well, let me talk about these two terms real quick. Liberation basically means freedom from darkness, in the way that I'm defining it. And I think this is the way that we all should define it, because we need to agree on terminology here. Ascension is the word which denotes the final entrance into heaven, the complete ending of this nightmare, when all souls are actually liberated. Yes, all souls. Now, I did a recent article called Basic Context. If you want to read a little bit more about that, you can read about it there. But yes, I think in one of the secret Christian documents, not the mainstream New Testament, I think Jesus was quoted as saying that, yes, even the souls that had went the deepest into darkness are going to be liberated eventually too. Why? Because they're of God, and that consciousness cannot be destroyed. A soul cannot be destroyed. It's impossible to obliterate yourself. Oblivion does not exist. Non-existence does not exist. Consciousness is the most fundamental aspect of being. There's nothing beneath it. This idea of like an inert universe that's dead is too stupid to believe. It's a scientific model that we have, and it's a scientific model that we've agreed on, and thus we're projecting this into reality, but it's actually too stupid to believe. So, I don't know how I got there, but I was talking about my notes. I was talking about my attempt to jam all that information into one, and I'd like to write a book, eventually put those back in, or maybe do a presentation, a little more high-tech presentation, where I have some people helping me to get that information organized and presented in a more entertaining and engaging way. So it is extremely important. And over the course of me just writing and babbling as I do, that information will seep into my message. So it would be possible to gather everything from there, from all the stuff I've done in the past, but I want to save you time. So I try to package it into one thing, and it wasn't enough to my liking to keep available. Hopefully I made that clear enough as to why those videos are missing. Hopefully we will get that information back into circulation pretty soon, because it is critically important information. My goal for you is for you to understand as quickly as possible. For you to be as radically awake as quickly as possible, so that you are what I call functionally awake. I'm not particularly fond of the term functionally awake, but I'm using it just to distinguish between someone who considers themselves awake and maybe this functionally awake, in which you've completed your learning such that you can involve yourself in an intelligent course of action, an organized course of action, because that's what's needed here. And that's what I am attempting to do, is to synthesize all of the ideas, all of my learning, and put it into one thing. Because I do not have a great brain for information. I'm much more of a creative person. I'm much better at distilling the essence of things and talking from that point versus talking about factual history, which some people have an incredible ability for. So I'll leave that to them. Trying to decide what's best to talk about here. Okay, so this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I'm talking right now, the city I live in. And yesterday we had a mass shooting. 11 people died in a synagogue. And of course, it's a horrible tragedy. Every death is a horrible tragedy from my perspective. It should never be normalized. And 150,000 people on average died every single day. So each one of those people is incredibly important to other people. And their lives were incredibly important to themselves as well, obviously. So each life is incredibly important. Yet the news presents it as something anomalous because it's a mass shooting. A number of people died by the hand of somebody else in an act of violence. So it's very newsworthy. But we need to understand that we are dealing with a mass epidemic of death, which occurs so, what's the word? Prolifically every single day, that it's just like background noise to us. It's just like living next to a highway. You forget about the cars or even driving by your house. But it should never have been normalized. Now, what I want to talk about specifically with this shooting that happened yesterday is that there's been a lot of anti-Jewish rhetoric on the internet. And I know very well the sources, and I'm not going to get into any of the stories here, because people are free to make up their minds themselves. But what I do want to talk about is the irresponsible nature that many very intelligent people even have taken in viewing Jews as one, what's the word? Come on, help me up there, somebody. One uniform body, such that all Jews are in on the plot together to take control of the world. And such a thing is so ludicrous that you'd have to be incredibly deluded and stupid to think such a thing were possible, let alone get so angry that you would actually go out and commit some kind of atrocity, which you're going to pay dearly for. But there's one person in particular who I'm thinking of right now who has been very irresponsible lately due to him allowing himself to be immersed in some information which is presenting the Jews in a very negative light. So he just says the Jews. He's not making any distinctions between the Zionists or the Sabbateans or the Frankists or the Kabbalists, or there's all these other distinctions we could use. So I understand what we're dealing with limited terminology here. But if you're talking about these people that are Jew in appearance, why not call them Zionists? Because at least you're not lumping them together with all these innocent people that have nothing to do with this plot. Why don't you at least call them Zionists? Why don't you call them Sabbateans? Because this is what happens when somebody gets all these false ideas that it's the Jews. Eventually something like this happens. And that's what we had yesterday. So this one happened to occur closer to home for me. I didn't know any of these people. But whether it occurs 10 miles from my house or 1,000 miles, it shouldn't matter. We're all in this world together. And somebody's starving in Ethiopia right now. Somebody's going to die of starvation in the next few seconds statistically. It's statistically, one person is going to die every 40 seconds of suicide. So we're dealing with an epidemic that is so horrific that most of us can't even begin to wrap our minds around. So I say, if we're going to focus on an issue like this mass shooting that occurred yesterday, let's use it constructively. Are we just going to talk about gun violence again? Because we know the issue is not gun violence. We know it's not possession of firearms. And it never gets anywhere. You make them illegal, they're still going to get into the country. Only the problems might become worse. If you try to enforce them more, you put more pressure on people, they're going to fight back harder. Mental health is the issue, yes, but we don't have a system in this country that is equipped to deal with mental health, nor do we have a system that is free from interference of Satanism and darkness, such that it would be equipped in the first place to deal with it. So mental health is the issue, of course, but we have to take this issue into our hands. And we have to begin to support one another radically, such that those seeds of anger don't start to spin out of control, such that it becomes a crime of society to allow someone to commit suicide. And there's been a few suicides pretty close to my house here the last however many years. And each one of those is a crime of the neighbors, of the community, of society in general. It's a crime to allow that to happen. I was talking to a friend a few days ago, and I said this a number of times because I wanted this to really sink in with him, because this is something that you can get on a superficial level, or you can really get it deep and it can like hit you really hard. It is so weird to be strangers with people. It is so weird to go into a public place and ignore everyone. It's so weird that you walk by people and they may give you a passing kind of fearful glance, but there's this distance between you. I mean, has it really, really hit you really hard? Has it really smacked you like a train that it's so strange to be a stranger? Now, this was on my original business card that I did, I don't know, 7 years ago or something. Nothing stranger than being a stranger. I've always been a smart cookie, you know, it's taken a while to be able to see the big picture and to articulate as well as I have right now. And in a way, I say the last 20 years has just been being able to articulate what I intuitively knew all along. It's a high price to be able to articulate, and hopefully I do a decent enough job at that. But such a strange thing to be strangers to people. And most of us have had the experience in which we've been smiled at by someone, or they've done something that probably seemed pretty insignificant to them, but it was not insignificant to us. The other day I was in the grocery store and was having somebody help me find a few things. She was a short little girl, and this woman asked her to grab some beans off the top shelf, and I was like, oh, I'll get those for you, I'm taller. So grabbed these beans, put them in her cart, and I couldn't believe like how thankful she was. Like I just saved her life or something. I mean, she was just so dumbfounded that somebody actually helped her. Because I didn't have to do it. But he's like, well, I have the energy, I got a body, I can do it. And, you know, no problem. I'd rather do it than not do it. It's like when I'm in the grocery checkout line, I always bag my own damn groceries. I look at other people and I'm like, what the hell are you standing there for? It's just at one cashier. You can't fucking move your body a little bit to help them make the flow. You don't see there's people behind you. You're just chit-chatting with the cashier like about some stupid shit, slowing them down, not helping bag groceries. The lack of social responsibility is just incredible. But then we get a church, or we get the politicians to say donate people, and then people like immediately pick up the phone or get on the internet and make a donation as long as an authority figure tells them to do something, which will inevitably happen with this recent shooting. There'll be another useless thing that the authority figures tell us that we need to do. It's not going to change anything. But we're all pathetically lacking in social responsibility. A suicide is a societal crime. Happens 2,000 times a day in this world. So I'm just checking my mental content, see if there's anything else that I want to talk about. Well, the CD's skipping right there, so maybe that's a good time for me to end. I just want to, I don't know if I shared these dog toys with you yet. I was at Costco the other day, and I just could not resist them. There's a mandrill, there's this dude, whatever that is, and then there's this thing right here. I just saw it as art, and art is art, right? So whether it's for dogs or people, I thought it was cool art. So this one will make a good little boomerang-y frisbee kind of thing. Good thing to toss around. At least it was a good little thing for me to fidget with making this video. So maybe this was the thing that I needed. It's actually like a pretty good oh shit handle, you know? Just grab this thing. Good for getting out of tension. Not bad. You know what? I wasn't stupid for buying this. You know, when I got home, my wife said that I was a complete moron. You know, in regards to buying these things. And I just thought for a second. I was like, okay, there's no way I can defend myself here. But what can I say? I've got my idiosyncrasies. I've got bedhead up here, and I got a tie on down here. So I am who I am. There's no one else that can be me as well as I can. So, and I'm pretty happy with who I am. So later today, in a couple hours, I have an interview with a man named Michael Tessarian. It's the first major opportunity that I've been given. So I'm making this video in part to get out some nerves so I can talk intelligently with him, and hopefully we're going to have a really great interview, and this will lead to better things. So it's been a long time coming that somebody's actually given me an opportunity, so I'm very grateful for it. And I've been taking this very seriously. My mind has been completely on topic of salvation, ascension, transforming the world, getting the F out of here, whatever terms you want to use. Remember, liberation and ascension. We should agree on some terminology. I have definitions on my website, and it's really important for us to agree on the language that we're going to talk about here, so there's no confusion about that. Because we shouldn't waste time arguing because we just don't simply understand the terms because we haven't bothered to agree on them. So one of the major ways, I didn't talk about this in this basic context article that I wrote the other day, was that darkness uses language to its advantage in a very pernicious yet intelligent way. So it uses words like conspiracy theory to immediately vitiate the person, and it becomes an ad hominem attack. The issue itself doesn't become important anymore because this person is nuts. They're crazy. That's just one example. I think I talked about this in the last video. I better shut up. I got other things to do. I got to shower, I got to shave, and I got to go for a little run, get some of this excess energy out of my body. So, I'll see you next time.